Can I do it right this year? Can I actually do it this year? Let me build up the strength. Let me build up the strength here, Maggle. Let me do it. Bears football! Yes, Bears football is back in 2022. And oh boy. And you know what I'm guaranteeing straight off the bat? I'm going to say it right here, right now. Something that I haven't said yet with any of the 6 teams that I've covered here so far in our season preview month. And I am guaranteeing, yes, I'm using the Charles Barkley guarantee that we get an even worse year of Bears football. That is right. The Chicago Bears went 6-11 in 2021, primarily thanks to the micromanaging play calls of then head coach Matt Nagy, and pretty much the non-existent offensive line in front of Justin Fields, who, by the way, was pretty solid. He wasn't great. He wasn't terrible. But, I mean, when you got flashes of Justin Fields, even like, oh my God, the Bears drafted a decent to good quarterback, but he has no help. He absolutely has no help. And then alongside that, in 2021, the problems for the Bears was a secondary that would just constantly get beat by even the worst of defenses. And alongside with the problems with the offensive line and Matt Nagy's stupidity, the play calls were just designed in a way that the offense just couldn't score. They couldn't score anything, whether it was anything by Justin Fields or running receivers. They can't score anything. They couldn't score. They were one of the worst offenses in the NFL, even against bad teams. So both Matt Nagy and general manager Ryan Pace were shown the door after the season, finally, and especially to the delight of the Schlag Daddy. Go check him out on YouTube. And they were replaced by another Matt and Ryan in 2022 by the name of Matt Eberflus, a former Indianapolis Colts defensive coordinator, and former Kansas City Chiefs executive director, Ryan Poles. So they're your new head coach and general manager duo, and the expectations were already so low with Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace. I don't know. The bar is, I don't know. I guess right now you could say it's even lower with these two, especially considering what they did in the offseason or lack thereof. So your top goal for 2022 was at least supposed to be protect Justin Fields. Make sure that he could stay upright all season long. Unfortunately, their offseason priorities from their 2021 season recap was to get an offensive line, address the secondary, grab a receiver to support both Justin Fields and Darnell Mooney, their so-so breakout receiver. But unfortunately, they did the bare minimum. They barely did any of that. So in the offseason, in free agency, they went on to add former Chiefs wide receiver Byron Pringle to the mix. And I mean, Byron Pringle, he's a wide receiver 3. He's whatever. They went on to add defensive tackle Justin Jones of the LA Chargers because of what they managed to do in the offseason to address a loss that I'm about to get into. And that was losing defensive end Akeem Hicks to the Tampa Bay Bucks, as well as losing outside linebacker Khalil Mack because they traded him to the LA Chargers for a second-round pick and next year's 6th-round pick. So you lose 2 key pieces to the defensive line, and then you lose Allen Robinson, who wasn't really working out anyway in Chicago to begin with. So he goes to the LA Rams. Guard James Daniel goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Wide receiver Jakeem Grant goes to the Cleveland Browns. So in a way, for Bears fans, they may think these losses are gargantuan. Personally, for me, yes, some of these losses are gargantuan. But my biggest thing with the Bears is that they didn't do anything to add belief, give Justin Fields confidence that he's going to stay alive in this season. Literally, like There was, other than the draft, by the way, where they added offensive tackle Brandon Jones from Southern Utah and San Diego State offensive tackle Zachary Thomas, it's like there's no proven pieces around Justin Fields that can just not only protect him, but actually help him. He needs help. He needs actual help. And the Bears general manager Ryan Poles and what is just like that use be counting Ted Phillips and the stupid ownership group don't want to give it to him. They don't want to give it to him. They're failing Justin Fields. They're failing to provide him ample support. They are going to massacre him in his time in Chicago. I kind of feel sorry for Justin Fields, man. So that's why I think this is going to be such a even worse year of Bears football because of what they didn't do in the offseason. So looking at some of their key games in 2022, it's literally the first two. It's literally the first two games of the season. You host the San Francisco 49ers. It's literally Trey Lance's very first game, like in the new season as like the full-time starter, going up to Chicago, facing Justin Fields. And these two were literally like the top 12 picks of the NFL draft. Trey Lance at number 3, Justin Fields at number 11. This could be a potential shootout or a potential blowout loss for the Bears. Or maybe it can be an upset win by them. Who knows? Who knows by this point? And then the next week, whatever happens against the 49ers, you have to go to Green Bay to face the Packers. And I don't know why the NFL loves to do this so much on Sunday Night Football. Like, how the hell do the Bears get so many primetime games against the Packers when they absolutely do not deserve it in their state of suckage? They don't deserve it. They do not deserve it. So this season for the Bears, like, who even is the top receiver in this offense? Like, who? Like, you have Darnell Mooney, you have Byron Pringle. I guess it's gonna be Darnell Mooney, but like, he's okay. He's okay, but he's not world breaking. But damn, it's just earth-shattering. So another question I have for the Bears is that, are they gonna suck so much that they, at some point, if the offensive line doesn't hold up, like, at all, like, does Justin Fields even survive the season? Does he even survive the season? Like, how does Matt Eberflus handle Justin Fields? It's going to be interesting to see of how bad the Bears are going to be, because I'm currently predicting they are going to be one of the very worst teams in the NFL. I imagine they're going to probably win only 3 to 5 games. 5 is very generous. But in the end of the day, the Bears are going to be one of the worst teams this season. They're going to be very trash, considering what they didn't do in the offseason. You bring in a new regime, and you absolutely don't do anything. When it's your ownership, your GM, your head coach that doesn't want to do anything. It's the definitive edition of Bears football, Michael.